Good afternoon. This is Kara with NCFlex, and you guys have joined our May employee session. Today, we're talking about our voluntary disability plan. We feature a different topic each month, and then we give you 2 opportunities to join. So we try to give you 2 different dates and times. Next month, our topic is going to be on the continuation of benefits if you leave employment or you retire. And also, we're going to touch on qualifying life events. So times you can make changes in the middle of the year if you have a life event outside of open enrollment. So if you're interested in registering for one of those dates that we have in June, those are on our website in the webinar section, and I'll show you where that's at towards the end. But today we're talking about the voluntary disability plan. We're going to talk about the eligibility of the plan. And if you are a university employee, you're actually not eligible for this plan through NCFlex. I'll go ahead and say that. I didn't double check to see if anyone with the university system had registered today. So if you are with the university system, you would have a disability plan directly through your employer, and you would want to check with your HR department. But we will talk about who is eligible, when enrollment is for the plan and for the NCFlex plans in general. We're going to talk about this plan, an overview of it, how it works, premiums, how they're calculated, when you file a claim, what a pre-existing condition means, returning from a leave of absence and re-enrolling in the plan, filing a claim. But one thing that we do have towards the end that some of you may be interested in is how this plan works with the retirement system disability plan, how they coordinate. Because if you are a participant of the teachers and state employees retirement system and you have at least 1 year of service, then you're eligible for part of their short-term plan, or their short-term plan. And then after 5 years, you're eligible for their long-term benefits. So we'll talk about how this relates to that plan towards the end of this, because we get that question a lot. What's different about the voluntary disability versus what the retirement system has? And we do record today's session. We'll record it, post the recording on our webinars page, and also these slides on our webinars page, which is directly off of ncflex.org. So if you ever want to go back and look at those, you can. So to start out, employees that are eligible are going to be ones who are non-university employees. I'll start out with that again because we had a few people join. So it notes that at the bottom, if you are university, talk to your HR about what you're eligible for. But you become eligible for this plan and other NCFlex plans when you're initially hired and you have a 30-day period to enroll. When you experience a qualifying life event, which would be things like marriage, birth, divorce, adoption, or during open enrollment. During open enrollment, that's typically October of each year. And when you do apply for the plan, if you didn't apply for it or enroll in it when you were first eligible, then, and you apply during open enrollment, you will have to fill out a medical questionnaire to be approved. But outside of those times, you can't just pick up the plan because we are NCFlex we fall under Section 125 of the IRS. We have some rules where we can only allow enrollment during certain times. And then you're eligible if you're a full-time active employee of a state agency, select community college, or select charter school. Those are community colleges and charter schools that participate in our benefits. And you're working at least 30 hours or more per week. And if you do have questions about whether you're eligible or not, check with your HR representative. And two, if you're familiar with these presentations, we do have a Q&A section, so feel free to ask questions throughout this presentation if you have any, but they may be answered as we go along. So we've talked about what makes someone eligible and when you can enroll in the voluntary disability plan. And this is called a voluntary disability plan because it's voluntary. You can choose to have it as kind of an extra backup or not, because there is the state retirement system disability, which again, we'll talk about towards the end. This one is like an additional coverage. So the short-term portion of this benefit is the first 60 days. There is a 14 calendar day waiting period, and then after that is when the short term kicks in, but the entire short term period is 60 days. The payment during the short term period is 66 2/3 of your earnings up to $750 per week. One of the most important things about the short-term disability portion is that there are no offsets. That means any other payments you're getting, if you're getting paid for leave, if you're getting disability from somewhere else, or any kind of other payments, they're not offsetting this portion. You're still getting this money. It's paid weekly. There was something else I was going to mention. We'll talk about pre-existing conditions, because sometimes we'll get into open enrollment and we have people who already know they have a disability, and so they want to go ahead and enroll in it for the next year so they can use it. But there is a pre-existing condition limitation. So we're going to talk about that in this presentation today. This short-term portion, that first 60 days, also includes a few things. 24 hours of coverage. So this covers disabilities on or off the job. Again, that first 60 days where you're getting paid that short term, if you're also getting workers' comp, it's not offsetting this portion. So you're getting both. Or you may be getting paid parental leave during that first 60 days. It doesn't offset this. You get a health advocate select. So you will have access to a dedicated personal health advocate that can assist with a wide range of services like coordinating healthcare with specialists and managing billing questions. And then there's something called the reasonable accommodation benefit, and that's to help cover the cost of accommodations that allow you to stay at work or return to work following your disabling condition. So now that was a brief overview of the short-term portion, and then going on to the long-term portion. So our long-term portion starts on day 61. So it starts after that 60-day period of short-term. If you look at the state retirement system, their short-term disability starts on day 61. So the good thing about our short-term is that if you if you become disabled and are waiting for the state retirement system short-term to kick in on day 61, you're covered by ours that first 60 days. And then our long-term kicks in on day 61. Another thing I want to just mention real quick before I go into some of this is that when you're comparing disability plans, because you may have some other options within your agency or your college, because every employer can offer their own benefits outside of NCFlex. You may have another disability benefit offered to you. When you're comparing it to this one, what you want to look at is how long that disability could go for. Sometimes when you're choosing those plans, you're choosing them to pay for up to 3 months, up to 6 months, up to a year. The longer they would pay, the more expensive the plan is going to be. Whereas this one, this long-term disability can pay up to your Social Security normal retirement age, provided you continue to meet the definition of disability. So this one doesn't really have a time limit necessarily of just a certain amount of months. It can go up to your normal retirement age. So going back to the beginning of this, the long-term portion pays 66 2/3% like the short-term, but the maximum of this is $12,500 per month versus $750 per week. So some of the higher earners, if you earn more, you may end up getting more from this than the 66. What am I trying to say? It would be a little bit more for you, and it would also be more for you than the state retirement system because their max is lower than that. And we'll talk about that when we get to that portion. Now, this long-term portion, as it underlines at the top, it does have a deductible income part to it. So if you are receiving income from other places, then that could reduce your long-term portion of this. However, even if your long-term disability is reduced by deductible income, you would still get a minimum amount of $100 or 10% of the long-term benefit, whichever is greater. I went through what the benefit waiting period is. It's at 60 days of short-term, and then it kicks into long-term. These benefits are paid monthly. I think that's all I need to say about that. This also includes 24 hours of coverage, so covers disabilities on or off the job, a return to work incentive where the standard, who is the vendor for the plan, they only deduct a portion of earnings for work performed while on disability. So if you do go back to work during that time, a reasonable accommodation expense benefit, just like the short-term portion, designed to help cover the cost of accommodations that allow you to stay at work or return to work following a disabling condition. And then there is a survivor benefit if the employee dies while on long-term benefits. While long-term disability benefits are payable, a survivor benefit may be payable, and that would be 3 times the long-term benefit without reduction by deductible income. So these are just some additional pieces to long-term. Our premiums for the plan are listed in our guide, which is on our website. I can show you that at the end where you can find those. So you can calculate that yourself. The guide has the rate chart, and it shows how it's calculated. But another way you can see what it costs is if you do go in to enroll, whether you're newly eligible, whether you're have a life event, or during open enrollment, and the enrollment system will automatically calculate it for you. There was something else I was going to say there. Let's see. So in this example, it has an employee who's age 25, makes $35,000 a year. The rate for someone between 25 and 29 is 92 cents per $100 of covered monthly payroll. So there's a calculation there. It ends up being $29 and $29.17, and then $26.84 per month. I don't know what, I was looking at the wrong thing there. So that would be the monthly premium, and it's taken out pre-tax from your check. If you're biweekly, obviously you would cut that in half, and that would be half of your monthly premium. And there is no waiting period for this disability plan. However, it does, again, have a pre-existing condition clause, which we're going to talk about. So enrollment versus claims. Voluntary enrollment in the plan during your election period and filing a claim to receive a disability benefit are not the same thing. So even though you may, during open enrollment, apply for this plan, and some of you on here probably already have this plan and you're just here to kind of listen to how this works. Others of you may be considering on enrolling in the future. So during open enrollment, you would have to fill out a medical questionnaire to have the plan. But later, actually collecting benefits from the plan is a separate piece. So that's when you have a claim that you need to file, and you're going to file for that claim through the standard who administers the plan. So again, in that second paragraph, it's saying the same thing. In addition to electing the plan, you must be approved for any short-term or long-term benefits. It includes a review process, which requires submitting proof of loss to the standard per the contract. If your disability claim is approved, you'll receive benefits. And if your claim is denied, you'll have the opportunity to appeal the decision. And regardless of the claim decision, as long as you remain eligible, your election and the benefit stays the same, and you will continue to have a withholding for the plan. So even if, you get into, you elected it in January, it's February, you file a claim and they say, well, actually that was a pre-existing condition, you still have the plan, and the plan is still valuable for if something else happens to you that wasn't a pre-existing condition. or if you go a full year and that condition is still there, and we'll talk about what that means. Let's see. And your premium will be waived if long-term disability benefits become payable. So that's on day 61. Some basics of EOI. So EOI stands for evidence of insurability, and the times that you would be required to complete an EOI is if you have a qualifying if you are doing this during open enrollment. So if you are a new hire or newly eligible, like if you go from under 30 hours to over 30 hours, or from a temporary employee to a permanent employee, or you're newly hired, you have 30 days to enroll, and you don't have to complete evidence of insurability or medical questions. If you apply during open enrollment because you didn't apply when you were first eligible, then you will have to complete medical questions. If you have a qualifying life event like marriage, birth, adoption, divorce, legal separation, you do not have to do medical questions, but you need to enroll within 30 days of the time that life event happens. If you were previously denied, you can still apply again later. But enrollment is available either, again, with a qualifying life event when you're newly eligible, or during open enrollment. So you cannot just apply randomly. Again, we fall under the IRS Section 125 and have to follow the rules. So we have certain times you can enroll in the plan. But you can try an application again later to see if you can be approved if you were denied before. If evidence of insurability is required, then when you go to enroll in Benefit Focus, you will be prompted to complete the medical questionnaire. It will have you complete and sign a medical history statement, sign a form authorizing the standard to obtain information about your health. You may have to undergo a physical examination if required, and provide any additional information about your insurability that the standard may require. Okay, so let's talk about pre-existing conditions and treatment-free period, what that means. So once you start the plan, once you enroll in it, you got approved, you either didn't have to do EOI or you were approved for the EOI that you submitted. So now you've started the plan, let's say January 1st. If in the first 12 months of that plan you file a claim, the standard is going to look back to see if within the 3 months before you started the plan, so let's say October, November, and December of 2023, for instance, because you started this plan January 1st of 2024, they're going to look back those 3 months and see, did you have any indication of that disability, of that pre-existing, was it a pre-existing condition? If you did not, then it would go to the next step, and most likely, I won't say most likely, I'll say it would not be denied because of a pre-existing condition, most likely. And then if you did have something indicating there was a condition there, then they would look, did you go 6 months once the plan started being treatment free? That means without having consulted with a physician, received medical treatment, undergone diagnostic procedures, taken prescribed drugs or medications in connection with the pre-existing condition. And if you did go 6 months treatment free, then okay, we're clear from that pre-existing condition. So there's a couple of, things to consider when you are applying for the plan. Are you getting it only for, are you going to have a baby and you're pregnant and this is what you want the plan for? It probably will not pay if you're pregnant at the time you enroll in the plan. So, but if you're getting it to cover yourself so that if something happens to you and you're not able to work and you're trying to help your family or yourself with income, then yes, that's the reason to get the plan, because the unexpected happens, right? And it's not always something you already know about. Now, this just gives an example of this pre-existing condition clause, but I'll say here too that going back to the last slide where it says, if you file a claim in the first 12 months, that means that if you file a claim after the first 12 months of having the plan, they're not going to look back at that pre-existing condition. That would not be something to be considered to deny you. So in this example, someone's coverage starts January 1st. It's kind of the same thing I just mentioned. Their date of disability was September 1st of that year. They had a herniated disc. They did have some medical treatment in the year before, but they had, so that the 90-day period they looked at was October to December, and they did have some things happen. However, they had a 6-month treatment-free period. So the pre-existing condition exclusion would not apply because they had that 6-month treatment-free period. So a couple FAQs on the pre-existing condition. If you have a pre-existing condition, should you still enroll in the disability plan? Like I said, stuff unexpected, the unexpected still happens. Sometimes not, hopefully not. But yes, you can still enroll in the disability program even if you have a pre-existing condition. They will only be a factor in claims incurred within the first 12 months after becoming insured. Keep in mind that disabilities are often caused by accidents and not known health conditions. If an employee has previously had a heart attack, can they become insured under the disability plan? Yes, an employee can enroll in the disability program if they've had a heart attack or prior health conditions. If you're a new hire or you have a qualifying life event, you're not going to be asked for evidence of insurability. Is diabetes considered a pre-existing condition? Does taking medication automatically result in a denial of benefits? Diabetes or any chronic condition where you take medication or have regular treatment is considered a pre-existing condition. However, you can still enroll in the plan under any opportunity that does not require evidence of insurability. And then any claims incurred more than 12 months after becoming insured wouldn't be subject to that pre-existing condition investigation. Couple more, if I file a claim less than 12 months after I become insured, will my pre-existing condition mean I'll be denied? It's possible when a claim incurred within the first, when a claim is incurred within the first 12 months, the standard would conduct a pre-existing condition to see if that condition is causing your disability, and if it would exclude you from receiving benefits. So again, they have to look for that 6-month treatment-free period. But if you file the claim more than 12 months after you become insured, then they would not do that pre-existing condition look back. Okay, that was a lot of information. So hopefully you got all that, but if not, again, we're recording it and we'll have the slides online if you ever just want to look back to see what did she say about that pre-existing condition thing again. If you're going to apply or if you're going to file for a claim and you already have the plan, and if you do already have the plan and you're just not sure, I would still file the claim if something comes up, just to see if you can get approved for it. So this piece is going to talk about returning from a leave of absence and re-enrolling. So if you do go out on a leave of absence and you come back and your benefits were canceled while you were on a leave, then you have 30 days to re-enroll in the plan and any other NCFlex plans. So if you're not sure if your benefits were canceled, because sometimes you don't know if they were or not, I would just check with your HR department. You can reach out to NCFlex. We can look for you. We're NCFlex at nc.gov. You can look on our website. We have lots of ways to contact us. You can call the enrollment system. But enrollment in the plans when you return is completed online through the enrollment system. If you've been out for less than 90 days, when you come back, no matter how many days you've been out, if you re-enroll within a 30-day period, you don't have medical questions, okay? But you do need to enroll within 30 days. But if you come back with less than 90 days, then your plan is going to be reinstated retro back to when you left, and premiums are going to be collected. If you come back after 90 days, then your benefit will start the first of the month after you re-enroll, and there will be a gap in coverage there. But if you have applied and were in receipt of long-term benefits from the standard, premiums are waived while you're on the long-term disability portion. Now, while you're on a leave of absence, the standard does not accept direct bill payments. So if you have questions about past due payments, contact your HR office about that. Filing a claim, this information is all in our guide and on our website, so you can do this by calling the standard, going on the standard's website. But you should report a claim as soon as you believe you will be absent from work beyond 14 calendar days. This is to help you so that you can get payment as quickly as possible. If you're not certain how long you'll be out, whether you should file a claim or not, go ahead and file the claim just to get it started. If you go out for a few days or a week and you're like, this could last longer, I'm not really sure, because sometimes it's not known, then you could go ahead and start a claim. And that gives the standard time to begin its review and issue a timely payment if you're approved. Let's see. There are time limits on filing claims. So you must give the standard proof of loss. So that's, filing the claim on your disability within 180 days after the end of the benefit waiting period. So that waiting period is 60 days. If you cannot do so, you must give it to them as soon as reasonably possible, but no later than 1 year after the 180-day period. So sometimes you may be in a situation where it's not possible to file in that 180-day period. And that's when they would look at you weren't reasonably able to, so you get that extra year. If proof of loss is filed outside of these limits, your claim will be denied. And these limits will not apply while you lack legal capacity. All of this information is on our website, by the way, in our guide, and we also have certificates on there if you ever need to reference that. So if we have any benefit reps listening, I have a couple just notes for you guys. And for employees, if you come back to work and you forget to re-enroll within 30 days of coming back, or you couldn't because maybe the system was locked for you, you were locked out of your enrollment system, make sure you reach out to your benefit rep to let them know, to see if they can submit an exception for you. Let me decline that call. See if they can submit an exception for you. And as a benefit rep, if you are submitting an exception to us, please put in as much detail as possible about why the window was missed. Was the employee not given instructions on re-enrolling in their benefits? Did they not know their benefits were canceled? The more information, the better for us to understand what happened, because we are making an exception to our rules. So we have to know if that is a valid exception. And then when it comes to employee claims, so as an employee, if you file a claim with the standard is going to reach out to a benefit rep with your agency or college to complete an employer statement request. And if you are a benefit rep and you receive one of these, filling this out timely helps that employee receive benefits quicker. And we appreciate your support and providing any necessary information to the standard as quickly as you can. I know sometimes that you're not going to have what information they're asking for right in front of you. You may be in a agency that's huge, HHS, DPS, DAC, and you might have to reach out to another person to get that information. When was their last day worked? What is their job title, occupation, description? So I get it. Sometimes you're having to rely on someone else. But if you do have that information and you can respond to the standard quickly, that helps the employee get paid faster. So approved claims information. So if you are approved for the short-term disability portion, we mentioned this earlier, benefits are paid weekly. Now this is in arrears for the prior week. So you'd be paid a little bit behind. Full week benefits are issued every Wednesday. Partial week benefits are issued off cycle, depending on the dates payable. Benefits are paid by check and mailed to your address if you're the recipient of the benefit. And for the long-term disability, benefits are paid monthly in arrears for the prior month, so behind, after the 60-day period of short-term is complete. And benefits can be paid by check or direct deposit. And at that time, if you are approved for disability benefits, you would be given information to select your tax deductions on that disability check. So I just have a few more slides. This one just mentions, we received this information from the standard recently on the types of claims that are being paid in 2024. And what the highest types of claims are being paid. So on our short-term disability, we have musculoskeletal, 32% of claims, maternity is 12% of claims, and accident is 9% of claims. And the highest incident of claims when we look at a single age band for those ages is ages 40 to 49 at 30% of claims. And this is closely followed by ages 50 to 59 at 29% of claims. For our long-term disability, our musculoskeletal is still the highest at 39%. Then maternity usually is knocked out at long-term because most maternity periods don't go too far past that 60 days. They might go into another 30 days possibly. But then you have accident at 17% and then mental at 10%. The highest incidence of claims are for those ages 50 to 59 at 32%. So you're getting retirement age at that point, followed closely by those ages 40 to 49 at 30%. And then 89% of claims are non-occupational. Agencies with the most claims are Health and Human Services, Department of Adult Corrections, and Public Safety, which is not surprising because those are our largest agencies. So they have the most of our claims. All right. So I've described how our disability plan works. It's a voluntary plan. It's an additional coverage for you if a disability occurs and you're not able to work. Now I want to talk about how does it coordinate with the retirement system disability through the teachers and state employee retirement system. This information that is on here is also in our guide. This whole chart, I just took snippets of it from the guide to go over with you. So if you are a participant of teasers and you have at least 1 year of service, you are eligible for a disability benefit through the state at no cost. It's covered with the 6% you automatically put in from your check each month. As long as you're 30 hours or more per week, then that 6% is required for a permanent employee. The NCFlex voluntary disability plan can help supplement this, and I'll explain how. So this first part of the chart shows someone with less than a year of service. For that person, let's see, during this period of, let's see, for as long as you are disabled, but not to exceed the maximum benefit period. So under the retirement system's disability, which is under that like teal color, they will not pay anything because you don't have a year of service. Whereas our disability plan would pay that 66 2/3 earnings up to $750 per week for that first 60 days, and then 66 2/3 of your salary up to $12,500 per month. And this is the long-term is minus deductible income. So if you receive income from somewhere else during that long-term portion, then it can be offset that long-term. So that could be workers' comp. That could be if you're using sick leave, which if you have less than a year of service, you probably don't have a ton of leave there. So it probably wouldn't go past that 60 days. Now getting into someone who has 1 to 4 years of service. For your first year of disability here, it mentions that, yes, the retirement system under the TIL you would be eligible for the short-term portion of it. And their short-term disability pays starting after 60 days, and they pay 50% of your monthly salary up to $3,000 per month. So with ours, you would get ours for the first 60 days, right? Because theirs doesn't even pay the first 60 days. Then when ours starts on day 61 of long-term, if you receive the retirement system's disability also at day 61, you are getting 50% from them, but you could get the additional 16 2/3 from our benefit. The other thing I want to point out here is if you make above $72,000 a year in this scenario, then you are capped at $3,000 per month from the retirement system, which is 50%, I believe, of $72,000. So if you make more than that, is what I'm saying, is that you're not actually going to get paid 50% of your salary. You'll get paid less than that because their max is $3,000. Whereas on our long term, our max is $12,500. So for higher earners, they could end up getting more from our plan than that 16 2/3 when they're on the disability. Then going into the second year, if you go into a second year of disability, the retirement system does have an extended short term where it can go an additional year. It's the same thing as their short term, but there's no long-term benefit. So if you go past 2 years of disability, then the retirement system would pay nothing and ours would continue to pay as long as you meet the standard requirements. And then on the last piece of this chart, it shows if you have 5 or more years of service, which I'm in this scenario. So you would, it's the same thing as the last one on the short-term portion. Same thing I mentioned, the retirement system would pay that short-term after 60 days, 50% of your salary up to $3,000 per month. Ours would pay that for 60 days, and then after day 61, the long-term portion, which could be offset if you're getting short-term from the retirement system. Then you would be eligible for their long-term disability plan after that first year. It does pay 65% of your salary up to $3,900 per month, which is close to our 66 2/3. But so it would be offset. It would offset your long-term with us, but you would still get $100 a month or 10% of your long-term disability with us, whichever is greater. You would also, again, if you're earning over 72,000, then you're going to be capped at their 3,900 versus ours caps at 12,500 per month. And the other thing I'll mention here is that the retirement system's long-term disability also requires you to apply for Social Security disability. And whether you're, I think the rule now, what depends on when you started, whether you've applied or not after 3 years, for some people, they will stop your long-term disability benefits if you did not apply, or they'll offset them based on what it would have been. And if you do apply and are approved, they're going to offset on Social Security. Whereas the standards, if you do not apply for Social Security disability, they're not going to automatically offset on what you would have gotten. So there are some benefits to having the voluntary in addition to the retirement system disability, is what this kind of chart was meant to show you. And that's the end of the presentation. That's all the information I have. These are the contacts for the standard and for NCFlex. So you have the standards email, ncflex@standard.com, which Mark Travato is usually who answers that. And I'm assuming that's Mark on the phone who has joined us. And you also have the standards phone number. And then you have our website, ncflex.org, where you can find places to reach out to us. You can look up our information, or you can email us if you have a question. So, and I'll show you our website because I mentioned I would. Just a couple of things on there. And if anybody who's on the call, who's a presenter, has anything to add that I missed, just let me know. Oh, let's see. I'll go ahead and click on this. And I think you should be able to see the website now. So on ncflex.org, I mentioned that we will post here in our webinars page the recording for today and the slides. If you look down a little bit more, you'll see links for all of our benefits, and in the disability section is where you can find more information, stuff we talked about today, pretty quick overview of everything. And then you have our certificates, which have even more details if you're interested in that, or just the pages from our benefit guide, which have that chart I just showed you on our plan as it relates to the retirement system plan. Down here, that's the chart I just went over. And we also have in here the rate calculator. We have what deductible income is, you know, what that would be on the long-term disability, how to file a claim, things like that. It doesn't look like anybody has a question. I'll stay on for just another minute, just in case you do. Let's see. And we also do link the Disability Income Plan of North Carolina Benefits Handbook if you ever want to look out at that. Looks like, I don't know if they've updated it since 2021, but I think this is the most up-to-date information from 2021. That's the Retirement Systems Disability if you ever want to look at that. It's linked directly from our disability page. And on our webinars page, we also have the registration links to register for June session if you're interested. We have, we're going to feature continuation of benefits and life events, and we have 2 dates available. So I think that's it. It looks like you guys are pretty quiet, so I hope you did learn something today. And if you have questions after this, reach out to us. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Thank you.